Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to talk to you guys a little bit about lifestyle factors that can affect cancer in both a positive and a negative way. So let me put on my +5 out of weaponsmithing, work on scaling up my crafting a little bit, and let's talk about this. And the reason I want to talk about this was actually prompted over a number of different things I've seen online lately, various people pimping holistic cures for cancer, conspiracy theories about cancer, and the worst part, someone I know personally, and I didn't even confront them about it because it's just at a certain point you just can't. You've got to look at stuff that people write and go, wow, this is insane. Again, was talking about how cancer is a fungus and how starches are the cause of cancer and that you can fight it by avoiding starches and taking supplements. And this is someone I know who's a trainer. So, you see stuff like that and you have to shake your head because at this point there's a lot of scientific evidence on cancer. Medical doctors and meta-analysis, everything else has concluded that, yeah, cancer is mostly lifestyle induced. Not 100%, but mostly. And it, depending upon the type of cancer that it is, somewhere between 70% and 90% of cancers are caused by your lifestyle. And people say, well, that's terrible. Are you saying my mom who died of cancer deserved it? No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying there's a 70 to 90% chance that she caused it herself unknowingly. Now, if you unknowingly give yourself a fatal disease, it doesn't mean you deserve it, okay? But what I would take from that is you probably have a genetic predisposition in your family towards certain types of cancer, so you might want to not make the same mistakes that your mother did. If you don't want to suffer the same fate, take your loss and what happened to her, because I had someone do this a while back when I said this. Take her loss and use it to save your own life, or maybe save the life of your children or other people carrying those same genes. Take that lesson so that you can save lives. Make your mother's death meaningful rather than purely a loss. And that's what I would say to that. Just like I've done, I'm extremely anti-smoking cigarettes because cigarettes killed my mother at 48. So I don't like cigarettes. And I definitely educate people about it, and I don't like cigarettes in general. I'll never smoke, and anyone I care about, I would urge them to quit smoking. It's pretty simple. So, the causes, usually what causes most cancers, it's to some extent carcinogens, smoking cigarettes, burning your meat till it's crispy, like eating well-done steak, pretty high on the list. Certain preservatives and a lot of your really refined meats, yeah. I wouldn't recommend most of you, if you want to avoid colon cancer, eat 2 pounds of bacon every day. I wouldn't recommend that you smoke cigarettes. I wouldn't recommend that you eat your steaks well done with a chard on the edges. These are things that we know have carcinogens, environmental toxins, other stuff. Now, as far as smoking goes, this again comes back to all these people who think things like smoking weed is going to cure cancer or cannabis oil. There's no evidence of that. Go read the studies yourself. Don't take someone's word for it. Go look at the studies on CBD oil. Look at the data yourself. I think you're going to find it doesn't say what a lot of people think it says. But yeah, smoking weed could give you lung cancer, absolutely. Is it going to give it to you at the same rate cigarettes are? No. Is it as bad as cigarettes? No. But it's not risk-free. So moderate these things. That being said, carcinogens are definitely a factor, but do you know what the biggest factors are? Your body's insulin sensitivity. That seems to be the #1 factor. So how do we affect that? What can we do for insulin sensitivity? Don't eat excessive amounts of foods that cause insulin resistance. And insulin resistance isn't caused by starches. It's not caused by starches. It's caused by excessive amounts of fructose intake and by excessive amounts of saturated fat. Those seem to be your two culprits, and arguably excessive amounts of damaged plant-based fats from deep frying foods. So, that being said, does that mean that you need to avoid all these bad things? No. Moderation rarely kills anybody. Alright? Moderation is not going to kill you. Don't listen to the vegans who tell you things like, oh, if you eat any red meat or saturated fat, it's going to clog your arteries and you're going to die of these diseases. That's nonsense. That's not reflected in the literature. Vegans don't even live longer than other people. So don't listen to that nonsense. Look at the data. What do we mean by moderate it? Eat the foods in moderation. And we have exact numbers. Fructose. Don't exceed 50 grams of fructose a day. Well, people will say, well, I don't know what's in my foods. How much fructose is in there? Well, look it up online. Table sugar is 50% fructose. So if you ate 50 grams of table sugar, you got 25 grams of fructose. High fructose corn syrup is 55% fructose. by calorie. So if you ate 50 grams of high fructose corn syrup, you got about 26 grams of fructose. There's a couple grams in various types of fruit. Most fruits got a gram or so in there. You can go look up individual fruits. Some fruits have more. Don't go on a fruitarian diet. If you're eating 2,000 calories of fruit every day, you might be at risk. But several pieces of fruit a day are probably beneficial in avoiding cancers. Why? Because they've got fiber in them. They've got various phytonutrients in them, things that can help your insulin resistance. So in moderation, foods that contain these things are probably okay. But again, when you start adding refined sugars to foods, it can add up very, very quickly. You can very quickly hit that 50-gram number. When you start drinking soda, start dumping a couple spoons of sugar in everything, a spoonful of sugar in your coffee. These are concerns. It adds up. Could you hit it from eating fruit? Maybe, but you'd have to work at it really hard. And the thing is, it's about consistency. Meaning, if you ate 50 grams of fructose 1 or 2 days a week, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about day in, day out. It'd be really hard, really hard. You would have to do like the Banana Girl, Freelia type diet in order to actually hit that much fructose from fruit. And again, you're talking about a chronic long-term effect. It causes insulin sensitivity. It causes fatty liver. All right. Anything that affects insulin sensitivity in a way that can contribute to diabetes is going to contribute to cancer. There is an enormous correlation between diabetes and cancer. Okay, things that they tend to overlap tremendously. And that's reflected in the statistics, and it's because most cancerous tumors have a very high amount of insulin sensitivity, so anything that causes your circulating insulin sensitivity to be higher can cause tumors to grow faster. But that's not caused by insulinogenic foods, it's caused by the way your body processes foods. So what you'll find, why this stuff is important, is that people who lived on 80% white rice don't have high circulating insulin levels if their diet is fairly balanced. They get fiber, they're not eating too much garbage, and they're physically active. They still have low circulating insulin levels. It's not about the insulinogenic response of individual foods, it's about the totality of your lifestyle. All right, you get insulin resistance, which makes insulin response go up by eating too much fructose. Same thing, you get the same thing from too much saturated fat. Well, how much is too much? In the United States, the RDA on it's 20 grams. All right, you shouldn't exceed 20 grams. That's what they say. In the United Kingdom, the NHS's data says 20 grams for women, 30 grams for men. Don't exceed that amount. You know what? You could eat a lean steak every single day. You could eat a 1 pound lean steak every day and stay under half that number. Okay? But it's when we start adding in all these extra fats. You start adding in butter. You start eating really fatty cuts of meat. This stuff starts to add up. Even too many nuts. I mean, nuts contribute. Your body doesn't care the source of things like fructose, saturated fat, all of that. It's the net amounts that you get of these things. So by moderating it, and people don't have problems from moderating these things, and that's the thing you have to remember. All right, you're not going to have problems from 20 grams of fructose a day. You're not going to have problems from 8 or 10 grams of saturated fat a day. It's the chronic intake of exceeding the safe limits. All right, there's your concerns. And again, people are going to say, what are you talking about cholesterol? I'm not talking about cholesterol. We're talking about saturated fat and its effect on insulin sensitivity. Nothing else. We're not talking about your cholesterol numbers in your bloodstream. We're not talking about dietary cholesterol. That's a totally separate topic, completely unrelated to cancer as far as I can tell. But anything that negatively affects insulin sensitivity does this. Now, people say, well, I'm on a ketogenic diet and it keeps my circulating insulin levels low. Well, actually, those high saturated fat ketogenic diets cause insulin resistance. Go eat some carbs and you're going to find out how bad your insulin resistance is. Now, you might be okay in this regard if you stay on a pure ketogenic diet indefinitely. But people who cycle it, people who carb load on the weekends, you might be predisposing yourself to cancers by doing that if you go back and look at the numbers, because you are creating insulin insensitivity with the diet that you're following. All right, so this is stuff that you need to weigh out. Now, the other thing is obesity and physical activity. Obesity causes insulin resistance. Obese people get cancer at an enormously higher rate than other people. And by obese, I mean body fat. And I don't mean what you guys call bodybuilder fat. I'm talking about people who have a big gut. Okay, this is what we mean by obesity. Now, the other thing that contributes the most is being sedentary. People who are sedentary and they don't exercise obviously get diabetes at the highest rates, because being sedentary gives you an enormous number of various medical conditions. Human beings are not meant to be sedentary. We're not. And when you're sedentary, your health deteriorates. So I'm not going to get into all the various things that we found from being sedentary, because we're focused on just cancer here. But being sedentary and never exercising massively increases your chances of getting cancer. Now, what we find is that cardio helps to some extent, because cardio overlaps those other things. It helps reduce obesity and it helps keep you physically active. All right, that combination helps, but when it comes to pure insulin sensitivity, weightlifting is the best activity that you can do. So much so that what have we found? People who lift weights get cancer at 50% of the rate of other people. All right, it cuts your cancer rate in half. And what that means is that if there was a 10% chance because of your genetics or whatever else that you were going to get a given type of cancer, that cuts to 5%. All right, it cuts your chances in half. We see cancer rates of about half among anyone who lifts weights. Furthermore, people who resistance train, when they do get cancer, because they have better insulin sensitivity, the people who continue to lift weights or resistance train during their treatment survive at twice the rate of people who don't. They beat cancer at twice the rate. So all in all, the factors that are going to impact you the most are a holistic lifestyle. And again, even fiber helps, because again, people who eat a significant amount of fiber, and I don't care whether it's from grains, vegetables, fruit, whatever, fiber improves insulin sensitivity. So in short, the best ways to avoid getting cancers, to give yourself the fewest bullets in the gun when you're playing Russian roulette, avoid smoking anything. Don't eat excessive amounts of fructose. Don't eat excessive amounts of saturated fat. Eat a fair amount of fiber. Lift weights. Do cardio. Avoid getting really fat. And as easy as that sounds to most people, they're like, well, that sounds pretty easy. Well, it should, but you're going to find that a lot of people out there can't follow that. And that's one reason we have so many people who die of cancer, because these easily preventable things aren't part of people's lifestyle. And what you'll find is that it's about the totality of your lifestyle that's going to affect the rates. And at the end of the day, can you ensure that you're not going to get cancer? No, because 10 to 30% of cancers, depending upon the type, are purely genetic. Your lifestyle doesn't affect it. But when we're talking cancers that only 1 in 10 people who get it, it's random luck and bad luck, and the other 9 out of 10, it was their lifestyle that caused it, I think you're stacking the odds pretty well in your favor if you're going to go the lifestyle route. Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.